Okay, here we go. Intro to how to use Final Cut. First of all, I'm going to try and get it so that mine looks just how yours would when you first open it. So up here, you start out with a library. Yours will probably say untitled here. So first thing you want to do is just click on the name of the library. Click on it one more time, and then you can change the name. I would just put your name on it. So inside the library, you have events. If this is the first time opening it, then you don't have any events. So let's go ahead and go File, New, Event. And we will call this one Bank Robber. And it will say the library that you're in. And it'll ask you if you want to create a new project. We can leave that checked. And mine was already on custom settings. So when you first do it, it'll probably look like this. So this is the automatic settings. For the Bank Robber project, go ahead and leave it like that on the automatic settings. So I'm going to hit OK. And now your bin here will look empty. It might just say Untitled Project. And your project down here looks empty. And that's probably gone. And probably this isn't showing either. And maybe this isn't showing. So everything's all kind of blank here. Other thing is I'm using a slightly older version of Final Cut than what you guys have. So some of the buttons have moved. I don't know the password to update mine. I don't know. We'll figure that out at some point. All right, first thing I want to do is I can either right click on here or I can go File, Import, Media, and let's find that folder with the Bank Robber stuff. Did I not copy it over? Maybe it's in my movies folder. There it is. Okay, I just select the whole folder, and over here I could choose to copy it to the library. That means it's going to take all these videos and make another copy of them inside this Final Cut library that it keeps organized for you. But this is a pretty big folder. It's like 3 gigs, so we don't need to copy it again. I'm going to leave the files in place in this case. If I was copying it from my SD card, I would for sure want to copy it to the library. But I already have it on my computer. And the rest of it is good. Let's import. And okay, continue import. Here we go. Now we have all this footage. By default, it is organized in alphabetical order. We could arrange it in other ways. We could click on this thing, group clips by date imported. That's what it is right now. These were all imported November 20th. Or we could sort, yeah, can't choose any of those. Duration, we could choose the longest ones first. But for now, we'll do date imported, that's fine. Okay, so if I click on one of these, it'll show up here in this line, and it will also play over here. Yours might look something more like this instead, where it's thumbnails. So this one has a separate thumbnail for each shot. And right down here, you can choose the length of the thumbnail. So the longer I drag it, basically each horizontal line represents 1 second of video here. So that can be handy if you want to see visually which ones are longer than others. But personally, I prefer the list view, and I can just click on them like that. But if you just want to see real quick what the shots look like, that can be handy. So your challenge with this one is to try and tell a story. So you want to think about what order these shots should go in. What order would they most likely happen in? So that probably means watching all of them first. So I don't know just offhand what order they do go in, but let's I know this shot he's got to fix a tire. So let's select this one, and I'm just going to drag this down here. We can play through it. Okay, so he drives the car. Gets out of the car for some reason. This is taking forever, so I want to play it in fast motion, right? I'm going to hit L. I'm going to hit L again. L one more time. So you can see all these things that he's doing. So let's say I want to cut into some close-ups of this stuff. So there's probably other shots of him. There he is doing the jack. Okay, so what I usually do is keep my left hand on the J, K, and L keys, my right hand on the mouse, so I can play through this. I know I don't need the beginning of it, so I can hit K to pause it. I can hit I for in. Notice how it marked an in point here. And then I hit L to keep playing. And then I pause it, and I hit O for out. And now it only uses that little part that I marked in there. I can do the same thing here. So here's jacking it up. Hit I for in. Hit O for out. You can do it without doing that if you want to select the whole thing and drag it down here and then shorten it. Alright, so then each of these. So here we are, we get to this part of the shot. Puts the jack in. I can go up here to my tools, razor blade, cut that right there. Slide these things over. And this thing, we only want it to be a minute long. So just by looking at it, you can see this one shot here is a minute long. So you are not going to want to show this whole thing. You want it to be more of a montage style kind of thing. So he starts jacking it up. That's probably long enough for that shot. I'm going to zoom in here. Command plus zooms in. That's long enough for that one. Maybe in between here, let's rearrange that. He's nervous about getting caught. Then we don't want to cut back to this because that doesn't match. So we can just get rid of that. Okay, so that's the basics of how to rearrange the clips, how to shorten them. So you'll want to go through here on your own and find which ones you think should go where. And then you will put your own music onto it and some kind of titles at the beginning and end. So for titles over here, you've got this T. I think in the new version it might be up here instead, but just look for a button with the T on it. And here you've got a variety of titles to choose from. Of course, we're going to go with Boogie Lights for this one. Let's. I just hit B on the keyboard to make a cut there. Going to delete that. Let's zoom back out so we can see all this. So either I can drag the titles on the layer above and see how it'll show on top of the video, or I can drag it to in front of the video. This is one thing I really like about Final Cut that Avid doesn't do. Not Avid, Adobe Premiere. So like this title, if I want it on top of the video, I just pull that up, everything else slides to the left, fills in its place. Or if I'm like, no, I want it in front of it, I just drag that, it pushes everything back. If I was doing this in Premiere, I'd have to move all those things on my own. So I can go in here and select the title, give it a name, changing a tire. And then for music, I can click on this thing. This will bring up my all kinds of sound effects, or it'll bring up my iTunes folder. What song do we want to go along with changing a tire? Probably Marriage of Figaro. Something like this. And then I can go here, copy, paste, and if you want to be able to see this when you move your cursor back, just click here where the numbers are. There we go. Now this thing, let's say you've got your clips where you want them, but it's not quite the right part of the clip. So one thing I could do, I could like shorten this here and then extend the other end. Or we've got this other handy tool here called Trim, where now I can click inside of it and slide it. And see how those are sliding left and right? So the clip stays the same length, but you're just showing a different part of that clip. So that way I can shorten this thing. I can turn this back on. I had disabled it, so the letter V on your keyboard will enable it. Wow, what a video. There we go. Okay, then you'll notice down here I've got this really long thing of filler. That's because I put the music there and then it filled in as long as the music was. So when you export your video, you want the whole thing to just be a minute long. If I exported this how it was, it would be 2.5 minutes long, and almost all of it would just be black video with this music playing. So I'm just going to select this, hit delete, and then on my music I'm going to drag that over. And let's say I don't want it to end just right in the middle of her singing like that. So if I hover over the edge of this audio clip, you see that little so this edge will make it lengthen or shorten, but this little button here will fade the audio. So now it's going to fade out. Like that. Oops. There. Now I'm ready to export it. So in yours, you've got a button up here in the upper right that is the share button. Mine is still down here, but they look kind of similar. So you look for this share button. You want to do master file. And then go to settings. By default, it's this Apple ProRes one, which is very high quality, but also pretty big. 100 megabytes in this case. So if you know you're just going to put it straight to online and you're finished with it, H.264 is a good way to go. That is only 19 megabytes. Then we hit next. And then give it a name and export that. And then right here it shows me my progress of exporting. If I click on that, this comes up. And then once we're done, it should, little thing should pop up saying that it's done. It didn't. I must have told it not to. Okay, there we go.